And Linda wrote the memo. I was reading my email and said that she thought I had a sense of humor. So that gave me free rein to tell a joke to start with. So bear with me. Some may think they're dad jokes, but that's what I am, dad. So, and please know this is a joke, and it came from a church of a mega church pastor, and so I don't mean it to offend anybody. It's all humor. So this, I heard about this senior citizen, probably older than I am, right? He was driving on a freeway in his brand new shiny Corvette, top down, going 85 miles an hour, having a great time. He saw these red lights flashing in the back. Oh my. In his rearview mirror is a state trooper. And without thinking about it, he floors it. He puts it to the floor, and he's going 110 miles an hour. And he heard the sirens behind him, and finally he came to his senses and pulled over. And the officer came up to the door and gave us information, said, hey, it's 4:30 and my shift's about over. If you can give me a reason for your speeding that I've never heard before, I'll let you go with just a warning. Well, the man thought for a while, and he said, officer, years ago, my wife, she ran off with the state trooper. And I thought you were bringing her back. Thank you. Before I share with you my story or a little bit of it, I want to leave you with three main points that I hope you take home. And one is that the Bible is the best book about recovery ever written.
Amen.
I got one amen. Great. Recovery requires surrendering our will that God so freely gave us back to Him. And as I saw in my life, God is a God of miracles. All right? And a couple scriptures that I like to turn to as I go out the day is John 16:33. And it reads, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. And this is Jesus talking to his disciples. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I've overcome the world. And I think that's true for all of us, right? Even though we're Christians, life's still tough. God doesn't promise us easy going, easy thing. We still have to deal with life. But God did say we have Jesus, and Jesus can see us through our tough times. And then one more, Matthew 19:26. Look, Jesus looked at them and said, with man this is possible, but with God all things are possible. Mm-hmm. And I turn to that many times because when I hit rock bottom and I went to recovery, I remember thinking, our God's a God of miracles. And I was in a very bad situation, and I really just turned to the Lord. And you're probably asking, Dave, what was the hold you? What happened to you? What are you recovering from? And my big issue was alcohol. I had become addicted to alcohol, and I know that I was an alcoholic. I am an alcoholic. I'm recovering now, no longer practicing. But I couldn't accept it for a long time. You know, I was 55 when I accepted that fact and wanted to do something about it. But it was with me for probably 30 years. And I didn't want to accept that I had a disease. I think it was a pride thing, that something was wrong with me, that I had a disease of alcohol, that I couldn't drink socially, right? I mean, there's many people, normal people that I know that can have 2 or 3 drinks, and many of you probably, and that's it. But for me, I'm allergic to it. When I drink it, I crave it. So what I found out through Alcoholics Anonymous was I just can't have any. Which was a shock, because when you go to the rooms it says the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. And I thought, yeah, I just want to stop on the weekdays. But that's not how it works. It's total abstinence. And so it didn't take the first time. Anyway, I'll keep going. I hit my low point 3 years ago in August, and I got a call from one of our pastors from I-Town Church at the time. Out of the blue, is a Wednesday, I remember this like it's yesterday. And long story short, we chatted, and then he said, David, I understand you may have a problem with alcohol. And really the blood just rushed from my head. I thought, oh my gosh, who has turned me in? You know, when you're an alcoholic, and your mind goes, you're thinking, all right, which one of my friends that sees me on the weekend called the church and said, you let him serve at the prayer tent, you let him do this. Man, he's a lush. But I'll tell you who told me. Not told me, but just had me. So I thought, it was weird. I kind of told a half truth. I said, it was Joel. I said, Pastor Joel, I admit I drink more than I should, but I don't know if I'm an alcoholic or I have a trouble with it. I knew the answer. I said, I need to talk to my wife. It was kind of jokingly because I knew what she was going to say. So the next day, on a Thursday, we went on a walk. My wife said, hey, help me walk the dog. And so I did, and I thought, this is going to be the great time. I'm going to tell her, I'm going to admit everything. I'm going to go get help. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to go get help. Well, before I could get that out of my mouth, she turns to me and says, David, I don't know how to tell you this, so I'm just going to say it. I want a divorce. I want to divorce you. And we're going on 30 years of marriage, right? So, so the joke goes, I picked a bad week to stop drinking. Poor dad, so I thought, oh my gosh. So really my world came crumbling down because I was rejected. I mean, you have your life 30 years since you want a divorce, and I wasn't a victim. I wasn't a good husband. I was a drunk, and so I wasn't a victim at all. But I thought, wow. So as the story as it goes, I called the church back on Friday, and told me I'm an alcoholic, and besides that, my wife wants a divorce. So I was pretty low. That was what I've learned through the program is that pain was my willingness to change. I don't know if many of you have had that moment where that was a turning point. I was at a crossroads and I thought, boy, my life can go one of two ways. And I could say, great, let's get divorced and I keep partying, or I can get my act straight. And so I chose to really lean into the Lord and be the Christian that He called me to be. That was a dichotomy for me, that I love the Lord, I was a Christian, but I had this repeat sin in my life, and I really can't explain it, other than that we all fail, and no one gets sanctified right away. But I was a closet drinker. I would do the right things, but I'd drink alone, I'd drink myself to sleep, I'd serve at church and then go watch football and get drunk. So I was really just the biggest hypocrite you've ever seen. And I don't feel good about that. It's hard to swallow. But by the grace of God and all of you in the room, our community, things can change. So I swallowed my pride, admitted I was powerless over alcohol, came to believe a power greater than us can restore us to sanity, right? And I turned my will and my life, which I thought I'd done, back over to the will of God, or the God of Jesus, right? And I remember Pastor Dave at I-Town always saying, if He's not Lord of all, He's not Lord at all. And that really hit home, because I thought He was Lord of all, but He wasn't, because I had that deep, dark, repeated sin of alcohol. So, what have I learned over the last 3 years? I'd like to share just a few things. I think I've already told you the Bible's the biggest book on recovery. And if you don't have a recovery Bible, Mike is my sponsor. He's holding it up. The first thing he said was, go get the recovery Bible. Start reading it. And I'm so glad I did. It's just been tremendous. Let me just hit a couple things that I can share. Alcoholism is a disease. I didn't really realize that before I started the study. But you can overcome the disease like any other physical disease through the 12 steps and through a recovery process, right? I can tell you that the old will that I had, my self-will, it was self-seeking. I was always resentful, dishonest. Maybe it not be telling you a lie, but it may be fooling myself with my behavior, right? But God's will is honest, it's giving and forgiving. And I can tell you, by going through the steps, and I give all credit to God. One thing for certain, sobriety is a gift, and I know by surrendering to His will, He gave me that gift. Now, I do think we have to put in the effort to do things and study and have fellowship, but I know where the power comes from, and that is from the Lord. But throughout this, I now find I'm joyous, happy, free. I think when you read through the promises, one of the ones that always sticks with me is peace and serenity. And it's hard to explain unless you walk through it. Step 11 in the recovery process. I'm going to read it to you. You seek through prayer and meditation to improve your conscious contact with God, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Instead of being like I used to, God was there, but, like Rio, I'm good at it. You pray for things you need, right? If things going great, what happens? Oh, you don't do your devotions, and you kind of walk away, and you don't go to church, and life's all cherry, and things are going your way. You seem to forget about it. And then we're really good, I am anyway, really good before about, oh, things aren't going right. I better pray about it. And so now it's no longer like that. I try to seek God first. And I do remember this, I like to share this with you, that when I was in my low point, my dad showed up out of the blue, and he knew what I was going through. And he said, David, the top priority is your relationship with God. And I know AJ always says, you have to get that right, and everything else takes care of itself. Because he knew I was heartbroken because my wife wanted to leave, wanted a divorce, that my church has kind of called me to the carpet. And on that point, I just want to give credit. I wasn't condemned. I wasn't like yelled at and shunned and how could you violate the honor code? I don't ever want to see it. I was met with love and forgiveness and conviction. Like, hey, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. As long as you're convicted to change, we're here for you. And that's when I jumped into, it was called Lifetime Recovery Program, which is now SD, Stone Dry Recovery, right? So I can't say enough thanks to the church, Mike and Linda, and the Stone Dry staff, the people that own it, because I would have been lost hadn't had the support group, because I was by myself. I moved out of my house. It was pretty lonely, but God was there for me. I do know, and when I look back, that God was just with me. Jesus was leading me on through that turmoil. I'm running short on time, so I have several more pages. I'll save those till next time when Linda lets me speak. But, because I thought I'd close, if you had questions, you could ask them. But I do want to go back to miracles. I've had a couple miracles, and one is that I haven't had alcohol in over 3 years. That's a God thing. And my wife did not divorce me. By God's grace and her grace, I did move out. I was out of the house for 1.5 years, and we sought counseling. We did get a legal separation, but I guess through her generosity or kindness, she did give me another chance. And I want to read to you to end kind of on a fun note that she gave me when it was my third year sobriety day. It says, David, congratulations on a huge achievement. I'm very proud of you and so thankful for all your hard work. More importantly, I'm grateful to God for giving you the strength and desire to do this and save our marriage. I look forward to the day when we can spend together loving our family. I look forward to the days we can spend together loving our family and our grandkids, as we just had 2 new grandkids. Lots of road trips in the future, love you tons, congrats again. So I'll leave on time, thanks be to God. Oh, I said, any questions?
Oh yeah, any questions?
If none, that's fine. I know sometimes when I hear people speak, I'm going to ask you about that. So thanks for listening. I appreciate it.